we were talking about something and I was just like really keyed up. And I remember he was like, bro. And this is like a doctor talking like an everyday person's like, bro, you need to get a hobby. Like you need to find something to do or you're not going to be with us much longer. Really.
Welcome everybody to another episode of Beyond the Glove. I am your host, Ben Loafman. So today, this is a couple years back, actually, I'm going to step first. So I remember in my job here with Just Gloves, there comes a time, there's lulls kind of when we're working here where it doesn't seem like anything new kind of comes up for a while. And I was in one of those lulls a couple years ago. You got your gloves that you're always working on. And I felt like I hadn't experienced anything new. And I was then at that time suggested to watch a video, and it was from Chris Bangert, the Ball Glove King. He's been on here before. And it was a video reviewing a Emery baseball glove. And I remember just being shocked. I was like, what? As far as backings go on gloves, all I'd ever heard of that was different at that point was Super Skin and then from Wilson, Speed Shell from Rawlings. Maybe the Rev 1X had come out at that one time. But this was super cool because on this Emery video, they were using a type of material that I never would have thought of before, but one that was definitely more readily available. And what they were using at that time in that video, that was Cordura material, which has historically been used for what I would say is Army backpacks and things like that. Today, we have the head glove designer for Emery baseball gloves on our show today. We have Marcus G. Gurule.
Hi.
Thanks for coming on the show, man.
Hey, thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely. Yeah. Did I say your last name correctly as well?
No, you didn't.
You
can just call me G, though.
G. Okay. Yeah, what is the correct way that we say?
It's pronounced Gurule.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, nice. That's very, I know. Go ahead. Yeah.
Years in the military, if you have an overcomplicated name, they just give you a simplified one, and so it was just G. So
okay.
I'm used to that. My wife calls me that. My son calls me that. So everybody calls me G.
That's fun. I'm glad to know that. Now I was, before I started planning this interview, I was like, I've never asked Marcus how to say his last name. So, and I don't think that I would say it correctly, even if
no, most people wouldn't. So
nice. That's cool. Okay. So for Emery gloves, I feel like for a lot of people, what might have put Emery on their sight line as far as baseball gloves go was that you guys added this Cordura material onto the gloves. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. I think I don't want to speak out of turn, but I believe we're one of the only companies that was doing it and are doing it. Still, there's like canvas backed ones. I think like a couple other companies have come up with canvas backed, but Cordura, the denier Cordura that we use, I think we're the only ones. I don't want to assume that, but I believe we are.
Okay, nice. Very cool. And so this is kind of a cool material for you to use, I think, to some extent, because you're a 20 plus year Army veteran, correct?
Yes.
And so you had an opportunity to create a glove using material that you used for over 20 years every day in your job. Is that correct?
Yeah. So Cordura, the denier Cordura, I think we use the 1000D. Because there's different weights of it.
Okay.
And so we use the 1000D. That's one of the heavier ones. I think there's one version or two heavier than that.
Okay.
That's what is like in the Army, your rucksack.
Yeah.
People call it a backpack or a rucksack.
Okay.
There's countless things in the military that are made out of it. Our ammunition carriers that are on your body armor vest. The outer shell is made out of Cordura.
Okay.
The rucksack, ammo pouch holders, grenade holders. It's you could probably write a book with the amount of material in the armed forces that uses Cordura. So it's super durable. And so we just kind of took a chance on it, and it kind of worked out. So,
yeah. And so when you got to Emery, were they already using Cordura at that time, or was this an idea that you were like, hey guys, I think I got something?
No, I won't take credit for it myself. So the original founder of Emery, Kev, he wanted to do it, but wasn't sure about the durability of it and how it would work. And so when I came on, it was kind of like a confirmation, just kind of going through sampling of it and seeing if it would work. Like my son who's here, he sampled like 3 different versions of it before the actual first round of them came out, because it has to have a backing material on it, because it's very lightweight and it's a little bit heavier than a jean material.
Yeah.
And so it has to have a backing. So finding the right backing for it and making sure that it had the structural integrity to make a glove. So I helped with that, but it was an idea that they had, but we didn't launch it until I came along and offer up some I guess some guidance. I guess.
Yeah. So it's kind of serendipitous that you showed up. They were thinking about that, and then you could just push them towards the finish line on that.
Yeah, for sure.
Nice. That's pretty cool. So with Cordura being something that Emery, I feel like in some ways you guys kind of got on the board with having Cordura. Is that something that you see you guys using a lot into the future?
I'm not sure about a lot. We're gonna have it here and there. We're gonna probably have a couple lines in the future.
Mm-hmm.
There are challenges with it. Catcher's mitts with it. We've done a few for other companies.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to do a catcher's mitt with it because the edges on a catcher's mitt, like right here, are exposed on the handstall.
Yeah.
And so that leads to possible fraying. So we're just trying to work through that sort of stuff. But we're definitely going to use it. Can't say exactly how much we're going to use it, but it's something we're going to keep going with. So.
Nice. That's cool. I like to hear that just because when I saw that kind of inspired me as far as like hadn't seen anything for a while, but that was cool to see. It's like, oh man, this is different. So I've mentioned your military background a little bit earlier. I always think this is kind of funny. I wanted to dive in a little bit on your personal history. So I have boys age 7 and 5, and they're in school right now. And there's a few kids in their classes that love anything military.
Okay.
It was funny enough. So my boys go to a private school, so they wear polos and slacks. One of the kids, I don't know his system, but he was giving rankings to certain kids. And one day my son came home with a white polo because he had earned the rank to wear a white polo.
Oh,
and
wow.
his kids, we call it, the boy's name was Edmund. We called it Edmund's Army is what my wife and I called.
Future leader.
I thought that was kind of funny. So with that story, were you a military buff as a little kid?
I was not. No one, thinking of it, no one in my family really ever served.
Mm-hmm.
Just was something that I decided to do. I went to school at University of New Mexico.
Okay.
So I graduated.
Is it the Lobos?
Lobos, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Went there for like 2 semesters, so fall and spring semester kind of, and just realized that, school's really, really expensive, and I wasn't smart enough for a scholarship. And so, and I really wanted to get away from home. And so the Army, a buddy of mine, kind of funny story. You ever heard of Solo Cups?
Yeah.
I think it's like a country song or something like that.
Red Solo Cup. Yeah. By
exactly.
Toby Keith.
Yeah. So like the paper cups, so like Starbucks cups and stuff like that, In and Out, whatever. They used to be made at Solo Cup. And so I would go to school, and then at night I worked at a Solo Cup factory making paper cups.
Really?
Awful. God bless the people that work there and do that sort of work. It's a tough, mundane job,
I'm sure.
And so I'd go to school, and then at night work the swing shift, so like 3 to 11 or whatever it was, and I would do the paper cups, and it's just like, man, holy cow, this is rough. And so a buddy of mine, we're hanging out, and he decided to join, go talk to Army recruiter, and he just decided. We were at a party or some sort of get together. He's like, "Hey, come talk to this recruiter with me." I was like, "Huh."
The recruiter was at a party?
No. So my friend was at a party. We were at a get together of some sort, and he was like, "Hey, come with me on Monday to go talk to this guy." He's like, because he was leaving to go be a ranger.
Gotcha.
My friend.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, might as well. I have nothing else to lose. And so, I showed up to the recruiting station, and I'd never even thought of the military. Didn't even consider it a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, it sounds ignorant. It was never a thought. It was just, they never even consider it. And I walk in, and the recruiter was had all his badges on, and his dress greens. And he showed me. They used to show you these videos of the jobs that you qualified for. And it was like they would take snippets of like the coolest version of that job. So like not the really crummy parts of like that no one wants to do.
Yeah.
And so he showed me the video for the Airborne Ranger, and I was like, that's it. And so I was hooked.
What is on the highlight video of the Airborne Ranger?
Oh my gosh, it was like all the cool, sexy stuff. So like jumping out of airplanes and shooting, sniper rifles and all this cool stuff. And you will do that if you make it through.
Yeah.
But like they don't show like mopping floors and, the 9 trillion push-ups you're going to do.
Yeah.
And like all the tough times. So anyways, to get back to your original question, wasn't a military buff at all.
Really?
Wasn't even a thought. So,
Really?
yeah.
Did you, that's interesting. And so as you've talked here and, as we've talked before, I've heard you describe, so you're airborne division, and the way you described it to me as a ignorant person of the military is that you jumped out of a lot of airplanes, it sounds like, during your time.
Yeah, I was an infantryman.
Okay.
And so like you can go to different jobs. I guess it's different methods of entry into the battlefield is a good way of thinking of it. And so one of the ways is an airborne entry. And so there's units where that's what they specialize is airborne operations. You just jump out of airplanes. So think of like old World War II movies where they're all, with a static line jumping out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I did that for a good portion of my career.
Okay, nice. And so it was mostly, so you get up there for missions, and when you were doing missions, you were over your time that you were in. Was that like Afghanistan and those?
Yeah. So I never jumped in combat.
Okay.
It was, few in modern war, few units have ever actually jumped in combat.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. So there hasn't, I think there was a unit in 2003 out of, the 173rd Airborne jumped in. I think that was the last time in 2003.
Really?
But you train for it. You train like crazy with notional warfare, and you just, train.
Yeah.
But very few people have actually done it in combat in modern.
Okay.
Since the global war on terror, few people have done it. So,
really?
Yeah.
Gosh. So when during your time, did you see combat just in other areas? Okay.
Yeah. So I joined the Army and pretty much went to Afghanistan right away. So
Gotcha.
I joined right before 9/11.
Okay.
And then graduated infantry school and then airborne and all that sort of stuff like right after 9/11 happened. And so I immediately went to a unit that went to Afghanistan.
Wow.
Like right away. So yeah. So a good chunk of my career was in Afghanistan or Iraq.
Gotcha. So since you weren't jumped, so you were on ground. I'm going to say the word infantryman. I don't know if that's okay.
Yeah. I was in a light infantry unit.
Okay.
They call it light infantry. First third of my career. So
okay.
I was at Fort Drum, New York.
Nice. When you go there, I don't know a whole lot. Is that pretty frightening? Like, as you're there, like seeing combat and that sort of stuff?
You mean like the first time going to combat?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Is that really?
Yeah. I mean, it's like, I don't know how to explain it. There's tons of books and movies about it.
Yeah.
But really, there's lots of boredom.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it depends on where you're at, what your job is. So I can't speak for everyone, but like, you move to a position, it's lots of boredom. And then you have just these random bursts of, intense, action or whatever. And then a long time of boredom and just goofing off with your friends and just, and then just like a intense period where you go through just a bunch of gnarly stuff and then lots of boredom. And so, I think it was, I had really, really good leaders. My first handful of years in the Army that really mentored me.
Yeah.
And so you just kind of just do whatever they tell you to do. So like, hey, move over here. Like, all right, cool. I'm gonna move over here. Like, shoot that way. And you're like, all right, cool. I'm just gonna do whatever Sarge tells me to do. And you just do that.
I have some relatives who've done some military, and he said that like the genius of the United States military is like they train so well so that when that time comes that you have to, like, everybody knows for the most part what they have to do.
Yeah, I would say training wise, I mean, that's all you do is at least my experience. There's, people, I can't speak for everybody, but my experience is you just train. And so when you're not training, you're getting ready to go, you're getting your stuff ready yourself. So, physically fit, physical fitness, and then you're getting your equipment ready to go train again. And then you're training, and then you train, and then you have a small period where you kind of relax, and then you deploy, you go to Afghanistan or Iraq. At least that's the way it used to be. And then you come home and you just repeat the cycle over and over and over and over. So
that's very interesting. I feel for people who are not in the military is kind of glorified, I guess, through movies and things like that. You think it's like this, you just went over there and everything that you did was like, you're just running into combat the whole time. And it's not like,
I'm sure there's guys that have that, but for like the everyday, like for the infantryman, like I wasn't a special operator. I wasn't like a Delta Force guy or anything like that. For regular infantryman, which is a tough job, it's very, very tough, physically tough. It's stretches of boredom with periods of really, really intense action, and then stretches of boredom. And at least that was my experience.
Yeah.
So.
I know I hear a lot as well. Here at our company, we've done some work with some groups like war horses for veterans and things like that. I know that like post-traumatic stress is real tough on military members. Have you had to deal with any of that?
Yeah, I think everybody, or I think most people that have deployed the GWAT, the Global War on Terror, so Afghanistan or Iraq, that were exposed to stuff. I think everybody in some degree struggles with it. Myself, I still to this day, have things that I deal with.
Yeah.
Seeing some pretty hairy things, and then dealing with hairy stuff. It'll. I mean, I think it's only natural. It's going to mess you up, or affect you. So just something that I have learned to kind of cope with through vocation. So like the baseball gloves and stuff like that, and getting involved with that, and then through God's grace as well. Just been able to kind of get through it. So
nice.
Not everybody has that though. Not everybody has the blessing of having a really cool vocation, and a really supportive family. So some guys struggle a lot more than others.
So you mentioned your vocation here now that you have with making gloves, and so that kind of goes back way back to we'll kind of go back to little Marcus as well. So you grew up in New Mexico, is that right?
I did, yeah. So we were talking earlier today. I was born in California, and then I think we lived there till I was 10.
Okay.
Then we moved to New Mexico, Albuquerque area.
So you're a Cali kid for a little bit, and then
for a brief period, I claimed New Mexico just because that's where my family's from. But
nice.
Cali.
And so there, I remember reading a little story or there was a little piece on you. So your mom taught you how to sew as a kid. Is that correct?
Yeah. So she was a really talented seamstress. I guess that's the proper
I think that's the right word. Yeah.
So she would do like these super beautiful, elaborate quilts for people, family members or whatever. So people would drop off stuff or wanted a quilt or whatever, and she kind of just did it under the table. But so she would make me sit there with her, and she taught me how to sew. And so like the little squares or whatever the shapes were, she would just show me how she wanted it to look, and I would have to sit there and sew and help her out with it. So I enjoyed it though. It wasn't a bad thing. I actually really enjoyed it.
So as a kid, so she taught you how to sew. I think about myself. I was like, man, did you just continue? Was it fun for you? And you just kept like helping her do little things?
Yeah. It was fun. I actually really enjoyed it, which is kind of weird because, I was in the Army and did what I did in the Army for 22 years. And so, but I enjoyed it. I was always into like craft stuff. So like drawing, I used to love pencil drawing and
nice.
Clay molding or whatever it's called. Sculpting.
Yeah.
I used to really enjoy that sort of stuff. And then, so like the sewing, it was just fun. I don't know, it was just cool, fun time with mom.
That is neat. And then, as well, I also read, so you had told in a story before that your dad, he helped run the baseball league. Is that correct?
Yeah. So where we were at, my mom and my dad, I'm not sure what the titles were, but they were always like in with the little league, whatever it was called. And so
league boosters, we'll call it.
Yeah. So they were either, running it or part of it, super involved. And so back in the 80s, in the 1900s, not everyone had their own glove, and not everyone had 15 gloves to choose from.
I know, it's wild if you look at it in field today.
A bunch of pink bats and stuff. Kids would just join to go have fun or whatever, and so the league would provide helmets and bats and gloves and stuff. And so my dad would not all the time, but like he'd have the Army duffel bag full of equipment, and so he would have to try to repair it to make it work because they didn't have enough money to buy new equipment. So I kind of learned how to lace some gloves here and there and do some small repairs for my dad. Just trying to keep the little league functioning.
Yeah, that is cool. It's wild that you say that you see your dad doing the lacing. It's wild just being able to see that little bit of someone doing something like that gives you the courage at a later date to jump off the cliff by ripping every lace out of a baseball glove and having no backup plan.
Yeah.
You're like, well, dad did it one time, so I know that I can figure it out.
Man, the internet is abundant too.
Yes,
so
it is.
There's for everything that you're doing, there's probably a video somewhere of how to put it back together.
Yes, it is. So that's I always think that's funny, but that's cool that you're able. as you kind of alluded to earlier, as a young child, your mom, she's helping out with sewing, your dad's doing a little bit of baseball glove repair and stuff like that. And that's cool that you found a way to kind of bring everything back together at one point. One thing I did want to ask, as a kid, was baseball, was that one of your loves as a kid?
No, it wasn't.
That's crazy. That's wild.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I enjoy watching baseball. I love baseball. I love the sport.
Mhm.
I love being around it. You know, my son plays. I just was never good at it.
Okay,
I just didn't physically enjoy the sport for myself.
Yeah.
I was a golfer. I was a really big golfer.
Really?
But yeah, baseball. I played till I was like 13.
Really?
And realized that I sucked, and so I pursued golf.
Did you like golf in high school?
I did, yeah. Yeah,
Nice.
that
That's
was a lot
pretty
of
cool.
fun.
That's awesome. Do you still get out on the links today?
I do, yeah. I
Nice.
take my son. He plays. He's pretty good. So we'll take him. He's starting to get to a point where he can keep up with me.
There you go.
I sometimes beat me. So
Yeah. No, that's cool. So you mentioned a little bit earlier. So kind of at the end of your military time, you start you're like, I need a hobby. It sounded like you've expressed before. Is that
yeah.
right?
So I had a really bad deployment.
Okay.
It was I think it was Iraq or Afghanistan. One of those.
Yeah.
And it was rough. Just a lot of tough times over there.
Yeah.
Going through some stuff. And I came home and I was a train wreck. I mean, just couldn't sleep. Just I guess saying PTSD, combat stress related sort of things. Just and so I had suffered a traumatic brain injury pretty bad on that deployment.
Okay.
And well, I had that injury, and then a couple of years after the deployment, I had a really bad jump. It was an airborne jump, and I hit my head really hard, and so it was just like exacerbated the head trauma.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
That's great. And that was during training, correct? Just because, that's wild. Okay.
And so the Army has this, or they had, I'm not sure if it's still around. It's called the TBI Clinic, or Intrepid Spirit Clinic. And this amazing facility where they just like a holistic care to get soldiers back somewhat better.
Yeah.
And so I went through all this training, and you're going through like therapy, and like this therapist, he was a really cool dude. He was a young guy.
Yeah.
And I was just like super stressed out. I was still a leader in the Army, and so I'm doing this stuff on the side to kind of get myself right, and just going through a really tough time. And this dude, he's like, we were talking about something, and I was just like really keyed up, and I remember he was like, bro. And this is like a doctor talking like an everyday person's like, bro, you need to get a hobby. Like, you need to find something to do, or you're not going to be with us much longer.
Really?
And so and then after that I was like stressed. I was like, man, I got to find a hobby now. I gotta find something to do. It was like another task.
Yeah.
And then so my son was super small, and he had some baseball gloves, and I've always just been fascinated with baseball gloves. Even if I didn't play, I just thought they were beautiful, and just like that, like the way they're made, there's just so many components. It's just there's so like knowing how to sew. It's just like, man, like this is a lot of work. Like, this is somebody worked their butt off to make this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember seeing my son's gloves, and I just decided to take them apart, and I had a bunch of other gloves, and so I just started taking them apart and relacing them. And then he was playing, and one of his teammates was like, parents was, oh, how did you get those? How did you fix his glove? And whatever the situation was. And so I started doing it for them, and it just kept on going and going and going. And then I was hooked. I was just like obsessed with it. And then it turned into, taking them apart and then trying to remake them.
Okay.
Like physically make them. And then, trying to replicate components of it for people. 'Cause I was lacing gloves for folks. I had like a little online thing on Instagram.
Yeah.
And people would reach out and be like, hey, I want this relaced or whatever, but can you also replace this part that's torn? And I'm like, oh crap, I don't know how to do that. But I would say yes.
Okay.
I'd be like, yeah, absolutely. And then I would get the glove in the mail. Like, oh, how do I said I could do this. And then so I would just figure it out. I don't even know. One cool thing about the military, and it relates to this, is there's just like an industriousness of like the infantryman. I don't know about other jobs in the Army, but like you just figure it out. And so I would just take the glove and be like, all right, cool. I'm just going to take this thing apart and figure it out. And it turned out was halfway decent at it. So
nice. That's pretty cool. So what years is this that you like first take a stab at?
it was like 2019.
2019.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cause I remember I was looking at I was going back through your Instagram and I was kind of looking at your body of work that you've done.
My body
And
of work.
yeah, like I don't, well, it like goes all the way. That was about the time I went all the way back. I scrolled all the way down to the beginning of your Instagram, and it looked like, yeah, you kind of started with you were relacing and things like that. And then I think it was and you described 2019, it was around that time. And then in like July of 2020, I looked at a picture. You got an industrial sewing machine.
Yeah.
And you're like, so did you just, with that industriousness and like seeing your parents do these things, you're just like, I'm just diving in and I'm going to see if I can figure it out?
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, honestly, it was just like, people would reach out and be like, "Hey, can you do this?"
Mhm.
And I would I would say probably 9 times out of 10, I would say yes, I can fix just about whatever.
Yeah.
Not actually 100% confident I could do it, but then
Mhm.
I would just figure out how to do it. And I knew I could sew.
Yeah.
And sewing machines are pretty intimidating for most people.
Yeah.
So I wasn't intimidated by it. And so I found some machinery in my area outside Nashville.
Yeah.
And just finding like the leather was like the most challenging part, because
Yeah.
like sewing machines are simple for me anyways, but finding the right leather and right materials to like do the repairs with was probably the most challenging part.
Yeah. So when was the first time that you're like, did you ever just build a glove on your own just to build one?
Yeah.
Like when was that jumping off point where?
I mean, it sounds like you Instagram stalked me pretty good.
Yes, that was a stalking. I guess that's what I'd have to say.
There's an old Singer machine in one of the videos, like way back. I think
Okay.
it was like 2019.
Yeah, it was
super old
probably
post bed.
Yeah.
It's real old. It looks like it's from like the early 1900s.
Checks
And
out.
I think that was about the time frame. I would just take a glove apart, like all of it, like welting fingers, all that stuff, and I would trace it on a manila folders or like a poster board.
Yeah.
And try to get cut the pieces and try to get them to marry up in terms of size, because your tracing doesn't always like translate the exact same. And then I would just try to cut the components as best as I could, and then put them back together. And there's dozens and dozens of flops that will never see the light of day. But yeah.
That's and while you were doing all this, I observed as well that it looked like you had a number of names for your operation that you were running there for a while, but eventually you settled on Guts and Glory. Is that correct?
Yeah.
I thought that was, I always thought that was a cool name. And that was when I first came upon you. I remember seeing, cause I thought that was so cool. It's like, man, this guy, he'll take the like the inside, like he'll fix the inside of your glove. It's like, I love the outside of my glove. That's the best part.
Yeah.
I was like, but the inside's kind of breaking apart. I thought that was super cool. And that was when I first noticed. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a whole community of guys, actually. Not a lot of guys that do that repair. I'll still do it here and there. Like, if someone reaches out just to, kind of help them out, especially if like they're Emery customers, I'll help them out just cause I want to keep those customers, with us. But like, that was what I specialized in, was rebuilding the hand stall of the liner or whatever, and trying to get it to marry up with the shell to where it feels somewhat like the original one. That was kind of like my specialty. I think it was probably, I know Casey Mack does it. And he's insane talented. Totally blow me out of the water in terms of like skill. And then I think there's a couple other guys out there that are pretty good at it as well. But I think that was my specialty. We'll maybe say I kind of started a trend, maybe.
There you go. I know you say that Casey would blow you out of the water, but I know he respects you a lot too. I love Casey. So
that guy is a very talented individual.
Really nice. That's cool to hear from someone as well in that industry. So when you're doing you're kind of creating a little bit of your own brand, did a lot of people come asking you, were they like, hey, like you want to join up, like whether it be like a big glove company or smaller glove companies?
No, zero.
Really?
Yeah, no, nobody. Funny thing, when we were eating lunch earlier, I think you had mentioned something about along those lines, and I reached out to a real prominent glove designer that's on social. I'm not going to name drop the name or the company. I reached out, and I was pretty decent at the liner replacements and these repairs and just replicating stuff. And I reached out. I was like, hey, I'm thinking of retiring from the military. Do you guys have any positions along this line? This is kind of what I have to offer. And the dude gave me a job posting to be a cashier at a store for their company. And I was like, that's clearly what you think of me. But yeah, no, nobody came knocking. Emery came along.
Okay.
I was still in the Army. I was like,
was this like 22 or?
I think it was 20, 22, 21,
okay,
somewhere in there.
Okay.
22 had to have been somewhere in there.
Yeah.
I don't remember. And so Kev Schneider, the founder of Emery, had reached out to me on social, or I might have reached out to him. Cause one thing that I used to do is I would reach out to companies and be like, hey, this is my skill set. I'm one of only a handful of people in our country. Cause in Japan, those sorts of repairs are relatively common in Japan.
Yeah.
But I would reach out to him like, hey, have you guys ever thought of a warranty? I could perform your guys' warranty work for you, relacing, binding replacement, so on and so forth. And so I would just like send out, messages to every company like on earth.
Yeah.
And they actually, I think he responded and was like, hey man, he was super cool and asked for me to go to meet with them or whatever. And then, so I just kind of helped him out with stuff on the backside, just advising. And then they had some pro players that were starting to use their gloves. And so they wanted like custom fit liners and stuff like that. And so it kind of just started with me working for Emery kind of started with that. And so I was still in the Army, active duty, leading soldiers, doing my job.
Yeah.
Well, on the weekends and at night, super duper late at night, building liners and hand stalls for Emery Glove Company on the side. So
that's wild. When I was stalking you, I feel like I remember seeing a picture. You like there were a picture of you with like your coat on and your military coat. You look pretty tired in it. So I am snapping selfies while you're on the working on the sewing machine.
Social media, man, you always gotta be posting. So
I'm actually interested to ask you, just knowing you a little personally now. How was that kind of scary for you when you were kind of doing, especially your Guts and Glory, putting your work out there where some person who doesn't know anything can easily just come in and be like, that sucks or something like that?
I was really, really naive with like the social media thing, because I never really had any social media. I had like a Facebook, but like, I mean,
we all did.
I think our grandparents have Facebooks. And so, but like I was just posting videos of what I was doing. And I didn't realize, I mean, it was really, it's really naive, but just how mean people can be.
I know.
And, because there's anonymity in the internet. And, and so, by and large, most people are pretty cool.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, there's a troll out there.
That's right.
In his basement, making fun of you and sending nasty messages and stuff about your work. So, and I've gotten better with it. I used to get really affected by it. Like it would just, I mean, it would set me in a tailspin. Like, I can't believe this guy. I'm working, this stuff is hard. Making a baseball glove is hard.
Yeah.
Those repairs are incredibly difficult to do, like the liner replacements and binding replacement, all that. Even lacing a glove is pretty challenging.
Yeah.
And so you take a picture of it and you're all proud of it. And then you have like a troll on there. And so now it's just, I don't really pay attention to it. So.
Yeah. Now you get a lot of comments. So it's like, it's funny sometimes here when people are generally pretty nice to us as well. But the one thing we're always like, well, they're kind of helping us when they say so. It just improves the,
my wife is very wise. She's like, hey, it's just attention, man. Like you're getting people's attention. So if they're, good and bad, you're getting people's attention.
That's
so, we get bad comments. And back in those days, I mean, I would put videos on YouTube of me doing stuff and I'd get a couple of people that would say some mean stuff or whatever. And it's whatever.
Yeah.
So.
No, you just got to let it roll off your back. So with your role at Emery right now, if someone orders an Emery glove off the website, the glove that they get, that's not going to be one that you've handmade.
No, sir. No. I would never eat or sleep or drink or be able to ever leave the dungeon of making gloves. We sell a good amount of gloves. So if we have a player that's on an NIL, or the True Fit system, if you're familiar with the True Fit system, I make those ones myself. So if you order one of those, if you're one of our players that represents our brand, I'm the one that's making your glove for you.
Okay.
And then if you sign up for the TrueFit system. It's not on the website yet, but you can like email or message on social and be like, hey, how do I get a TrueFit? I would be the one that's making those for you.
Nice. Yeah. Cool. That's so those are the ones that you're going to be working on. For those that are watching right now, I actually got one of the Emery gloves here. I had to pull it on screen because this thing's beautiful. You made it a little specialized for me. So one thing I wanted to ask as well, just kind of thinking about the glove market as a whole. So it's kind of dominated by, giants. You got the Wilsons and the Rawlings. What is like, what makes it difficult for like a smaller brand like Emery?
Giants is probably the best word to describe it. You're like a little David fighting Goliath or whatever. Probably not the best analogy, but I would say getting customers to see and put on your gloves, at least for us, is probably the hardest because like our dads and our parents gamed Wilsons and Rawlings or whatever whatever the names are. So like they're just, those are like mainstay staples of the sport. And so getting people like parents especially to like, hey, check this glove out. It's just as good, if not better. And try it out. And getting them to do that is hard. When they do, most people are pretty open, you know, but trying to just that initial, getting them to just kind of at least think about trying something different than the big two brands.
Yeah. And what would you say is like an advantage that you guys have?
We're small, so makes us pretty agile, I guess you could say. Like we're able to make changes to our stuff like rapidly. Like so if we have a trend, say like a couple people complain about something or want a particular thing, I'm able to make that adjustment like almost like instantly with the next batch of gloves that we're making or whatever. So being able to be super flexible is a plus of being a small company, because we don't, we're small, so we can move around a lot. And then if you're contacting us, so like if you're a customer and you're like, hey, I want an Emery glove, but I'm not seeing, I want something different than what you guys are showing. You're probably contacting me or someone else that's on the team. And there's only a couple of us. And so it's, you're working directly with the people who are either making your glove, handling it, or whatever. So you're not going to get that at the big two. You're going to have some sort of chat with a robot or something. And so at least that's what I would assume it is, because I doubt their glove designers are answering emails. So.
So that's cool as well. And one thing that I've admired with Emery that you guys are doing with yours, so you're kind of like creating patterns as well for a lot of the gloves. So for those that are watching right now, so I got G's 1417 pattern. Then this is like kind of your your little baby as far as like patterns go. You've worked pretty hard on this. What makes this 1417 like pretty unique?
Yeah, so we took the 1417 was a model that we've always used. So if you order a custom infill glove, that's going to be what you get, unless you ask for the other pattern, which is our 1627, which is a Japanese style glove. We don't sell a lot of them because it's not the norm. So we just kind of took that glove and made it a little bit better, the 1417. So we widened out the fingers and then deepened up the pocket, so the glove is going to close a little bit more naturally. When you have your hand in a straight up position, it's going to close a little bit more with a thumb going towards a ring finger naturally. A little bit more like how American infielders field the ball. They pocket it up a little bit more, and so it's a little bit deeper pocket and a little bit I don't know what the word is, a little bit wider palm area. Going back towards the middle and the index finger. Sorry.
The thing I like about, so most gloves I put my hand into and I'm like, I want to put my pinky and my ring finger in the pinky stall. But this one feels great. Like just right out of like just straight up, and it close, like it's just got that natural kind of easy. I kind of like that right away. So
and it's kind of how at least in my opinion, how American infielders field the ball. So it kind of plays along those lines. There, not a lot of guys are using like a wide-heeled Japanese glove. I mean, I think that trend is coming. But right now, that's kind of more along the lines of what people are wanting.
One thing that I've noticed with me personally, so I will break in gloves. So for those watching, like I'll breaking the glove to be like this, but I don't ever actually catch a ball in that manner. If I catch the ball, it's always going like this, but I like break it in. And I guess I can see where it's like, okay, you have the option, however you want to close it. But
yeah, you'll see guys do that. They want their glove to close, like almost a thumb going to the pinky.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
Maybe a third baseman will actually keep it that way.
Yeah.
And parents and players will be like, I want it broken in like this. And then when you go see them field a ball, it's closing the way the glove is supposed to close, even if they have it in the shift.
Yeah.
Their fingers shifted over. So, but yeah, that one you can game it either way. You can go straight up, or you can go two in the pinky.
Mhm.
Go two in the pinky is going to play a little bit deeper, so really good for third base.
You can definitely do it.
And if you're a younger player, you could also game that in the outfield if you're a younger player. So it can be just about everywhere. So.
No, overall, it's great. I love this. This is cool glove.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And a shout out on that. So I didn't have enough time to make one for you guys with like your guys' logo embroidered on it. So I sent that to a good friend of mine, Christian Flores in Texas, from Flashing Leather, and he did the laser engraving and the color fill on it. I think he's one of the only ones in the country that does the color fill. It's really cool. It's
pretty. You might be. Yeah. Christian's great. I was telling you before this that we got on a call with him, and he showed us some stuff with the track, and that was a great conversation.
Yeah. He's I was talking about Casey Mack. Christian's like a really talented guy. And so he'd be an asset to anybody though. He's really cool though.
Yeah.
And that, the laser engraving is just something that he specializes in. So I was happy to send it to him.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for doing that. I always love here you added on there the Guts and Glory logo. So that's pretty cool stuff. I want you to be able to get a shot here. Go ahead and pull your catcher's mitt.
Yeah.
This is something you're thinking about doing or releasing here in the future?
So we have a whole line of, sorry to cut you off. We have a whole line of stock gloves that are going to be coming out, and just new patterns. So this is our new 1019 CM. It's a new catcher's mitt. A little bit thinner on the heel and the toe. The idea with it, at least my idea, was trying to get the hand a little bit more flatter, so or like horizontal like this, because the way catchers catch nowadays, it isn't like the old school where they just squat in one position and they're just waiting for the pitch. They're all framing, they're all taking the ball and moving the glove up, and so like the idea is getting the hand a little bit more ergonomically sound, or better, I guess the word would be, inside the mitt, to make it a little bit easier, because our 1019 before, your fingers were really straight up, and so when you're going to frame, it just felt like it was kind of uncomfortable. So this is to kind of answer that. We had a couple people ask if we were going to update that, so this is kind of my response to that.
So that's pretty cool. The way we were talking about, we used to just sit straight and you just try to receive, but now with that frame where they like sweep up the glove and all that.
Yeah. And then, like if you watch a lot of catchers, I'm not a catcher, I wasn't a catcher, but just watching a lot of videos, and then my son will catch here and there, and they're all have like their thumb down, like, so this is to create a wider target and keep the hand a little bit more horizontal while they can keep their thumb down. And then you can, because of the way the thumb is here, you can put in your thumb if you have a thumb guard. There's a little bit more room in there, so you can actually put a thumb guard in there.
Nice. So, that is cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, that's neat to get added to the website. Yeah. So nice. So, appreciate you coming on for this conversation. This is super cool to have. I'm glad that you and your son were able to make it out to Kansas City to spend time with us.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys and the hospitality. You guys are awesome.
Thank you very much. So, but yeah, we got 3 strikes. So before we end every episode, so we have some more like personal questions just to help the audience get to know you better. So strike 1. So you're originally from California, claim New Mexico as home, but now you're in Tennessee. I'm interested to know who's your MLB squad that you cheer for?
We are Mariners fans. Seattle Mariners fans. Yeah. Unfortunately, I guess.
How did you land on the Seattle Mariners?
Growing up watching baseball, it was like Jay Buhner and that time period. Ken Griffey was just starting to get really big. And so it was just New Mexico is kind of like neutral territory. I think growing up there, I think people were either Rockies fans when they came out, or Dodgers fans somewhere in there. And so we used when we grew up in California, we'd go to Dodger Stadium and watch the Dodgers, but for some reason the Mariners stuck. And then my son was born in Tacoma, right outside Seattle,
There you
and
go.
we were stationed up there for a long time, and so we were just like, yep, that's the team.
There you go. That's cool. That's interesting to think because like when you were the Rockies probably got to Colorado when you were a teenager.
Yeah,
And that
I
was
think it was 11 or 12 years old.
okay. Yeah. And then the Diamondbacks got to Arizona a few years after that, but that was kind of like no man's land
Yeah.
for
Yeah. You can pick whatever team you wanted.
yeah, there was no one really that close.
Yeah.
So, okay, strike number 2. So you live near Nashville right now. I like to call Nashville Bachelor Partyville, USA.
Yeah, for sure.
Are you a big live music guy?
Not at all.
Really? Okay.
No, I'm not a country music guy. Like
Okay.
if you Facebook stalk me or Instagram stalk me, I don't listen to any country music.
Are you metal guy?
Big metal.
Okay.
Big crazy metal stuff. But yeah, no, not at all. We don't go to any in Nashville either.
Really?
Yeah, Nashville, it's cool, but you know, we go, we hit the stuff that we need to hit, and then we get out of there.
There you go. Yeah, you were saying that. I mean, it's blown up. There's just
it's a really cool place to be, but it's, you know,
yeah.
If you live there, I think anybody who lives there knows what I'm saying. So you just go do the stuff you got to do, and then you get out of the tourist spots.
There you go. Yeah. All right, and strike 3. So, with you being a military veteran, I have to ask: do military movies interest you at all?
Yes,
they do. Okay,
yeah,
nice. Yeah. What's a top pick of yours?
My favorite is Saving Private Ryan.
Okay.
But yeah, so big. Now I am into military stuff, obviously. But like World War II specific.
Okay.
Like, yeah, like my son is super into it. So if he shows interest in a movie, I'm like, oh, cool. You know, and nice. So he wanted to watch like Band of Brothers.
Okay.
And so, you know, we nerd out on war movies and stuff like that, and he gets really into it. So
that's cool. Do you like any of the modern ones? Like, what was the one with Mark Wahlberg, Lone Survivor? Do you like that one, or does that hit close to home for you? Or?
Yeah, those ones are. I mean, I've seen it.
Yeah,
it's a good one. I don't really get into them. It's just kind of hard to. I think most vets would. I don't know about guys who only did a couple years. At least dudes who did a long time and multiple deployments. It's really hard for me personally, and I would assume a lot of guys, to see some of the way it's portrayed.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? Because it's like that's not at all how that works. And then so it's my wife absolutely hates watching any modern war movies with me, because I'll be like, yeah, right. I just start nitpicking it, and so but I've gotten to where I'll sit through a movie and I can shut up, and then
when it's over,
and then I'll blow up. I'm like, that's complete crap. There's no way they did that, you know, so and so forth. But old school movies for sure, all about it.
That's cool. Nice. Well, thank you again for coming on.
Okay.
This has been a great conversation. Appreciate it. I know a lot of our audience, just with your skill, and like you had mentioned, you're one of the few people here in the United States that can build a glove from scratch. Yeah. So I know that people that listen to the podcast are definitely going to appreciate the conversation. So,
thank you.
Absolutely. For those of you listening and watching, definitely go ahead and give us a 5-star rating if you're listening on Apple or Spotify. If you're on YouTube, go ahead and give us that thumbs up. We really appreciate it. This is going to be our October episode, so we're excited. For November, we're going to have some more great glove content for you. Until next time, have a great day.